Hello again. It's been an interesting few days since the last video, hasn't it? The comments section got a bit thorny, but I used a lot of excited, thorny language in the video, so fair enough. But I did have some actual conversations with people after releasing the video, one-on-one conversations. And my tone is, of course, a lot different if I'm speaking to a person than if I'm just screaming out into the void. And it feels like there are some clarifications to be made. Maybe in a more reasoned tone this time. And I want to be clear. I meant every single word of what I said, and I stand by it. This is a clarification, not at all a retraction, definitely not an apology. So first off, I've been at this role-playing publishing thing now for almost 15 years. And it's been 15 years of escalated, attempted, and some successful, smearing, labeling, deplatforming, banning, blacklisting, just all sorts of assorted fuckery aimed at me. And am I really supposed to adopt or at all respect the vocabulary of people that are doing this to me? No, of course not. Now, I want to tell you that a great big chunk of my childhood was the Reagan 80s. There were all sorts of political fights going on. Can you have a Christian cross on the town firehouse? Should children be required to pledge allegiance to the flag? Should people be allowed to burn the American flag in protest? Well, I was and am on the sign of no, you don't put a cross on the firehouse. The infrastructure shouldn't show preferences. No, you can't require a child to pledge allegiance to the flag. And yes, you can burn the flag. Artistically, well, this one was before my time, but The Exorcist. Let Jesus fuck you! Let him fuck you! It was something you could put into a movie. And during my time, when my school actually had a police officer come talk to us about the satanic dangers of role-playing and heavy metal, that worked great. It's that era that you could put a crucifix in a pot of piss and call it art. In heavy metal, you could be as anti-Christian as you'd like, up to and including portraying Jesus being mutilated, covered in shit, being used sexually. I was and am for allowing all of this. And now it's 2023. It's almost 2024. There are new flags. There are new sacred symbols. And the same rules apply to them. As I remember the betrayal I felt when I realized that some of the people who showed by example that you can disrespect the flag, you can blaspheme against sacred symbols, they didn't actually mean all flags. They didn't mean all sacred symbols. They were simply trying to tear down the symbols of one orthodoxy because they wanted to replace them with their own. They didn't want freedom from power, they wanted the power. And that's what I think the current movement for inclusion is. It's not smashing open the gates so everyone can pull up their own seat to the table. It's just replacing the gatekeepers. Some animals are still more equal than others. They're just switching out which animals. And there is an important asterisk to this bit. See that in the video description. So, I don't respect this new orthodoxy any more than I respected the old one. I wouldn't lay good odds on me respecting whatever the next orthodoxy is going to be. And for the people who think that, oh, you hate inclusion, therefore you hate X demographic group, and please first notice I'm using the term demographic group instead of the more commonly used identity. For some reason I think that's important. As far as that goes, if you ever would have considered me or mistaken me for a champion or an ally of any particular demographic group, then yes, you are sooner or later going to be quite disappointed in me. But I am not bothered by either your presence or your participation, and I expect you to test me on that. But to give a concrete example of how I feel about all this. On the Gen Con vendor applications, there's a section where they want to know how your company advances diversity in the gaming community. And in 2022, filling out my 2023 application, I just filled it in. You know, oh, we had this and that type of person doing this work for us and blah, blah, blah. But this year, filling out the 2024 application, I think in terms of diversity, I've worked with more categories of people this year than in any other year I've been in business. I had lots to put in the diversity section of the application, certainly more than last year. But I really do think that's a disgusting way to measure a person's worth. I want to consider a possible freelancer or collaborator's demographic categories less, not more. I don't want to be thinking about what points I'm going to score or lose because of somebody's demographic category. So I just left that section blank on the application. So there's my clarification. I am fully confident that this will satisfy all the critics and will quell all of the anger. Good day.